Hey everyone, welcome to Mr. English Lab. Thank you for being here. And please remember to subscribe so you can learn English every day in a simple and useful way. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that you understand English very well when you listen or read, but when it is time to speak, your mind feels slow? Maybe you know what you want to say, but the words do not come easily. Maybe stop in the middle of a sentence because you are trying to find the perfect word. Many English learners face this problem. You are not alone. Have you also noticed that native English speakers sound relaxed and confident even when they talk about difficult or serious topics? They do not seem nervous. They do not stop often. Their words flow naturally. Today, we are going to talk about the reason for this difference. This lesson is about the gap between understanding English and speaking English smoothly. More importantly, it's about learning how to think like a native English speaker. This does not mean memorizing long grammar rules or difficult vocabulary lists. It means understanding how ideas move naturally in real English conversations. Think about how you use your mobile phone every day. When you unlock your phone, open apps, or type messages, you do not think about every step. Your fingers move automatically. You do not stop and say, "Now I will press this button." You just do it. Native speakers use English in the same way. They do not create sentences word by word in their heads. Instead, they think in ideas, feelings, reactions, and intentions. The words come after that naturally. This is the mindset we are learning today. Here is an important truth you should remember. Native speakers do not try to sound advanced or impressive. They try to sound clear and natural. Good English is not about using long or difficult words. It's about using the right words at the right time so people understand you easily. For example, instead of saying, "I am experiencing difficulties with my internet connection," a native speaker usually says, "My internet is acting up." Both sentences mean the same thing, but they feel very different. One sounds like something written in a book or report. The other sounds human and real. Native speakers choose words that feel comfortable in daily life. Let us now look at everyday technology language, because modern English is used a lot when we talk about phones, apps, and the internet. If a native speaker talks about their phone battery, they do not say, "My battery decreased rapidly." They say, "My battery drained fast." If they miss a message, they do not say, "I did not receive your message." They say, "I never got your message." These word choices are not accidents. They are made because they are quicker, easier, and commonly understood by everyone. Here is another situation. Imagine an app suddenly stops working. A textbook sentence might be, "The application is not functioning properly." But in real life, a native speaker would say, "The app isn't working," or "The app crashed." This is how real English sounds: simple, direct, and natural. Learning to think this way will help you speak faster, feel more confident, and sound more natural every day. In real life, a native speaker does not say long or formal sentences. Instead of saying something complicated, they simply say, "The app keeps crashing." This short sentence feels alive and real. It shows annoyance and frustration without directly explaining those feelings. This is how native speakers communicate. They allow their word choices to show emotion. They do not describe everything in detail. The listener can feel the meaning through the words. Now, let's slow down and practice an important skill: thinking in English instead of translating. Imagine a common situation. You are working on your laptop and suddenly it freezes. The screen stops responding. You click, but nothing happens. What is the first thought that comes to your mind? A native speaker usually does not think about grammar or sentence structure. The first thought is emotional. Many people think, "Not again." This thought comes before the sentence. After that, the words come naturally. The person simply says, "My laptop just froze." That sentence is short, clear, and direct. It does not need any extra explanation. Let us build on this idea with a short story. Last week, I was working late at night. I had many browser tabs open on my laptop. A video was playing in the background and messages were coming in on my phone. Everything was happening at the same time. Suddenly, the laptop became very slow. The screen stopped responding, and the cursor would not move at all. In that moment, my first thought was not technical. I did not think about memory or software problems. My first thought was emotional. I thought, this is the worst timing. This is how native English thinking works. Feelings come first, language follows naturally. I pressed a few keys, hoping the problem would fix itself. Nothing happened. I took a deep breath, sighed, and said out loud, "It finally gave up." This sentence is interesting because the laptop didn't really give up like a human, but the phrase sounds natural in English. Native speakers often use human actions to describe machines and objects. For example, we say, "My phone refuses to charge," or "My Wi-Fi does not want to cooperate." These expressions make the language more natural, emotional, and expressive. After restarting the laptop, I checked my phone, and I saw a message asking why I had stopped replying. I did not explain everything that happened. I did not talk about frozen screens, open tabs, or slow performance. I simply replied, "My laptop crashed, so I got delayed." That sentence was clear, natural, and complete. It gave enough information without being too long. This brings us to a very important point for advanced English learners. Native speakers do not explain more than necessary. They do not give extra details unless the situation requires it. They trust the listener to understand the context. This habit helps conversations stay smooth, fast, and natural. When you learn to do the same, your English will sound more confident and more like a native speaker. Now, let's look at some more sentences that native English speakers use every day. These are very common, especially when talking about technology. For example, "I need to update my software." "The app logged me out again." "My storage is almost full." "I backed up my files just in case." "The link is not loading." "My screen brightness is too low." These sentences are short, clear, and flexible. You can use them in many situations without changing much. This is what advanced English really looks like. It's not about difficult grammar. It's about having simple, useful sentences ready in your mind when you need them. Now, let's talk about how native speakers connect ideas. In textbooks, you often see long phrases like, "because of that reason." But in real English, native speakers usually say, "that's why." It's shorter and sounds more natural. In the same way, instead of saying, "in my opinion," native speakers often say, "I think," or "I feel like." These phrases sound softer and more conversational. For example, instead of saying, "In my opinion, this update is unnecessary," a native speaker would say, "I feel like this update wasn't needed." The meaning is the same, but the feeling is different. The second sentence sounds friendly and open. It feels like a real conversation and invites other people to agree or disagree. Now, think about how native speakers react during conversations. When something surprises them, they might say, "That makes sense," or "I didn't see that coming." When something is annoying, they often say, "That's frustrating," or "That drives me crazy." These reactions come naturally. People do not translate them in their heads, they just say them. If you want to think like a native speaker, you should start collecting reactions, not just vocabulary words. Reactions help you stay active in a conversation and keep it flowing smoothly. Let us continue the story. After everything restarted on my laptop, I noticed a system update notification. At first, I wanted to ignore it. I remembered how many times I had delayed updates before. Then I changed my mind. I clicked install and walked away from the computer. While I was waiting, I checked my phone again. Someone had shared a link with me, but it wouldn't open. I shook my head and said, "Technology is really testing my patience today." This sentence sounds natural because it focuses on emotion, not just facts. When everything finally started working again, I felt calm and relieved. I did not say, "I am relieved now." That sounds unnatural. Instead, I said, "At least it's working now." This is how native speakers usually express relief. They keep it simple and natural. Learning these small habits will help your English sound more real and confident every day. Native speakers often focus on results instead of talking directly about emotions. This way of thinking is not only used for technology, it applies to daily life situations as well. For example, when you miss a call, you do not explain the reason in detail. You simply say, "I'll call you back." When you're busy, you say, "I'm tied up right now." When something is easy to do, you say, "That was pretty straightforward." These phrases do not come from grammar books. They come from real conversations and real life. This brings us to an important change in mindset. Many learners ask themselves, is this sentence correct? That question is not wrong, but it's not the most helpful one. A better question is, does this sound like something a real person would say? When you start thinking this way, your English learning changes completely. You stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be natural. Have you ever noticed how fast native speakers react in conversations? They respond almost immediately. They do not pause for a long time. Their sentences flow easily, and the meaning is clear even when the words are simple. This happens because they're not translating in their heads. They're responding with ideas and reactions, not grammar rules. One of the most important steps to thinking like a native speaker is to stop focusing on grammar first. Grammar is important, but it should not be your starting point in conversation. Instead, you should listen to real conversations and notice patterns. Pay attention to how people actually speak. Notice which phrases they repeat and how they express common situations. It's the rhythm and natural phrasing that make English sound alive, not just perfect grammar alone. Let us look again at how native speakers talk about technology in daily life. If a phone is not working properly, a native speaker says, "My phone is acting up." This sentence is short, easy, and natural. They do not say, "My phone is experiencing a malfunction." That sentence sounds too formal and stiff for everyday speech. Native speakers prefer simple verbs like act up, crash, freeze, or lag. For example, saying, "My laptop froze again," feels immediate and emotional. You can feel the frustration without the speaker explaining it. This is exactly how native speakers talk. They allow the sentence itself to show the feeling. The same idea applies when talking about work or daily tasks. Native speakers usually explain problems in short, clear phrases. They do not give every small detail unless it is necessary. For instance, instead of saying, "I was unable to attend the meeting because my internet connection failed unexpectedly," a native speaker would say, "Sorry, my internet went down, so I missed the meeting." The meaning is clear, the sentence is natural, and the conversation can move forward. When you learn to speak this way, your English becomes faster, smoother, and more confident. You stop sounding like a textbook and start sounding like a real person. This is the true goal of advanced English: clear ideas, natural phrases, and easy communication. A native speaker would simply say, "My internet went out, so I missed the meeting." The meaning is exactly the same as a longer sentence, but this version is shorter and sounds more natural. In real English, people often leave some details unspoken because both speakers can easily understand the situation. This makes conversations faster and more comfortable. Now let's talk about using expressions that sound human in everyday conversations. Native speakers often talk about technology as if it has feelings or its own will. You might hear sentences like, "My Wi-Fi doesn't want to work today," or "This app keeps refusing to open." At first, this may sound strange, but it's very common in natural English. Giving human qualities to objects makes the language feel casual and friendly. It also helps express emotion without explaining it directly. You can start using this habit in your own English. For example, instead of saying, "The printer is malfunctioning," try saying, "The printer is acting up again." The meaning stays the same, but the sentence sounds more fluent and natural. Small changes like this can make a big difference in how your English sounds. Let's imagine a short story that shows how thinking and speaking like a native really works. Yesterday, I was working on an important project. I had several apps open at the same time and many browser tabs on my screen. A video meeting was running in the background, and my phone kept buzzing with new messages. Everything was happening at once. Suddenly, my laptop froze. The first thing I felt was frustration. I did not think about grammar or vocabulary. I simply said, "Not again." That reaction came naturally. Then I said, "My laptop froze, so I can't finish this right now." These sentences are short, emotional, and clear. This is exactly how native speakers express themselves. They speak from feeling first, and the language follows. While I was waiting for the laptop to restart, I checked my phone. A friend had sent me a link, but it wouldn't open. Without thinking much, I said, "Great, now this too." That sentence is very short, but the emotion is clear. It shows annoyance without any explanation. Native speakers often use small sentences like this to express feelings naturally. They do not describe every detail because it is not necessary. This is one of the biggest differences between advanced non-native English and real native English. Non-native speakers often explain too much. Native speakers trust the listener to understand the context. They keep sentences simple, emotional, and direct. When you start doing the same, your English will sound more confident, more fluent, and more natural in everyday conversations. Let us practice some very common sentences that native speakers use when talking about technology. These are sentences you can use in real life without changing much. For example, the app keeps logging me out. I need to update my software. My storage is almost full. I backed up all my files just in case. The link is not loading properly. The screen brightness is too low. Each of these sentences is short, clear, and practical. They are ready for daily situations. Native speakers use sentences like these because they are quick and easy to understand. Memorizing these patterns and practicing them often will help your English sound more natural instead of trying to create new sentences every time. You'll already have useful expressions in your mind. This helps you speak faster and with more confidence. Now, let us talk about how native speakers give opinions. They usually choose soft and friendly phrases. Instead of saying, "In my opinion, this new feature is unnecessary," a native speaker would say, "I feel like this new feature isn't really needed." The meaning is the same, but the second sentence sounds more relaxed and conversational. Native speakers prefer this style because it invites discussion. It doesn't sound too formal or stiff. You can practice this habit with any topic. For example, when talking about a new app, you can say, "I think this app is useful," or "I feel like this update made things easier." These sentences are simple, clear, and natural. This is how real conversations sound. Now, let us focus on reactions. Reactions are a very important part of native thinking. They make your speech sound alive and real. When something surprises you, you can say, "I didn't see that coming." When something annoys you, you can say, "That's annoying." When something works perfectly, you might say, "This is perfect," or "exactly what I needed." Native speakers use reactions automatically because they focus on ideas and feelings first, not on perfect grammar. Let's go back to the story to see more examples. After restarting my laptop, I opened the system update notification. I looked at it and thought, "It's about time." Then I clicked install and walked away. While the update was running, I checked my phone again. A friend sent me a link once more, but it still wouldn't open. I shook my head and said, "This is really testing my patience today." This sentence sounds natural because it shows both emotion and context at the same time. When the update finally finished and everything started working properly, I felt relieved. I did not use a long or formal sentence. I simply said, "Finally, everything is working again." Native speakers often speak this way. Each sentence is short, emotional, and clear. There are no extra explanations because they are not needed. This is the key idea you should remember. Native English is not about sounding advanced. It's about sounding real. When you learn to think in ideas, feelings, and reactions, your English will flow naturally. Over time, this way of speaking will feel easy, comfortable, and confident, just like it does for native speakers. Each sentence a native speaker uses is short, emotional, and complete. You do not need long explanations to sound natural in English. Native thinking is not only about using short sentences, it's also about connecting ideas in a smooth and simple way. For example, instead of saying, "Because of this reason, I could not complete the task," a native speaker would say, "That's why I couldn't finish the task." The meaning is the same, but the second sentence sounds more natural. In the same way, instead of saying, "In my opinion, I prefer using this app," you can say, "I think I prefer using this app." These small changes make your speech smoother and more relaxed. Now, let us focus on another important part of native thinking. Native speakers often talk about actions or results first, and emotions come later. For example, instead of saying, "I am very frustrated because my laptop crashed," a native speaker would say, "My laptop crashed and that really frustrated me." The event comes first and the feeling follows naturally. This is very common in conversations about technology because the problem itself is usually more important than the emotion. Here are some more examples of native sentences you can use every day. My headphones stopped working again. The app froze right in the middle of the meeting. I accidentally deleted the file. I need to log in again. The battery is draining too fast. Each of these sentences is complete, clear, and natural. You do not need to change much to use them in different situations. This is what makes them so useful. Let us practice with a short story. Imagine you're in an online video call. Everything is fine at first, but suddenly your internet becomes slow. A native speaker would immediately say, "Hold on, my internet is lagging." They would not explain the technical details. They focus on what is happening right now. After the call ends, they might say, "I need to restart my router before the next meeting." This sounds natural because it focuses on action and context, not long explanations. Now, let us combine reactions with technology phrases. Imagine your app crashes while you're sending an important message. A native speaker might immediately say, "Unbelievable, it crashed again." Or they might say, "I can't believe this app froze." Now notice the order of these sentences. First comes a short emotional reaction. After that, they explain what happened. This order is very natural in English. Native speakers often react first and explain second. You can practice this pattern in many situations, not only with technology. In advanced English, storytelling is one of the best ways to start thinking like a native speaker. When you tell a story naturally, you automatically use short sentences, clear reactions, and simple connections between ideas. For example, imagine this story. Yesterday, I tried a new productivity app. At first, it worked perfectly. Everything was smooth and fast. After a few hours, it suddenly started crashing. My reaction was simple. I said, "Well, that's disappointing." I tried to open the app again, but it still didn't work. Then I said, "Guess I'll have to wait for the update." This short story shows actions, feelings, and logical steps in a very natural way. This is how native speakers usually talk. Another important part of native thinking is using conditional sentences in a simple way. Instead of saying, "If my phone doesn't work, I will not be able to finish my task," a native speaker usually says, "If my phone acts up, I can't finish my task." The meaning is clear, the verb is simple, and there are no extra words. Another example is, "If the app crashes, I'll just restart it." This sentence is short, natural, and perfect for conversation. Now, think about how native speakers describe problems that happen again and again. Instead of saying, "I have had issues with my Wi-Fi multiple times," they say, "My Wi-Fi keeps going out." Instead of saying, "I have problems with this app regularly," they say, "This app keeps crashing." Using keeps plus a verb is a very common and natural way to talk about repeated problems. It sounds real and conversational. Let us now practice combining reactions, technology phrases, and native thinking in one short story. I was writing a report late in the evening. Everything was going fine, but suddenly my laptop started to lag. Without thinking, I said, "Not again, why now?" I tried to save the document, but the app froze. I reacted immediately and said, "Great, just what I needed." My reaction came first and the explanation followed naturally. After a few seconds, the screen went blank. I waited, hoping it would fix itself. Nothing happened. I restarted the app and opened the file again. Thankfully, my work was still there. I took a deep breath and said, "Okay, that was close." This sentence clearly shows relief without explaining it directly. This is how native English works: short reactions, simple sentences, and clear actions. Native speakers do not try to sound perfect or advanced. They focus on expressing what is happening and how they feel in that moment. When you start using this style, your English will feel easier and more natural. The key lesson is simple. Do not translate in your head. Do not search for perfect grammar. Think in actions, reactions, and results. Let the language follow naturally. When you practice this way every day, your English will slowly start to sound confident, fluent, and truly natural. When everything finally worked again, I looked at the screen and said, "Finally, back on track." This small story clearly shows frustration, action, and relief. Each sentence is short, natural, and shows a clear reaction. It also tells the story in a simple way that is easy to follow. Another important tip is to notice how native speakers reduce sentences to make them faster. For example, instead of saying, "I am not able to log into my account at this moment," they simply say, "I can't log in right now." Or instead of, "I was not able to send the message because the app crashed," they say, "I couldn't send the message. The app crashed." Short, complete sentences like these are easier to think in, and they sound much more natural in conversation. Now, let us focus on giving instructions. Native speakers usually avoid long and complicated instructions unless they are truly needed. Instead of saying, "You must press this button in order to proceed with the application," they simply say, "Just press this button to continue." Instead of saying, "In order to fix the issue, please restart the app," they say, "Restart the app to fix it." Removing extra words makes the sentence faster, clearer, and more natural. We can also practice expressing surprise or disappointment in a natural way. If your phone battery dies very quickly, a native might say, "Seriously, already dead?" Or simply, "Not again, the battery is gone." If an app updates and suddenly looks very different, a native might say, "What did they change this time?" Or, "I don't like the new design." These sentences are short, emotional, and very human. They show how native speakers think and react. When talking about plans or expectations, native speakers also use simple verbs. Instead of saying, "I will attempt to open the application later," they say, "I'll try opening the app later." Instead of saying, "I plan to back up my files tonight," they say, "I'm going to back up my files tonight." These small changes make English sound natural even at an advanced level. Here are some more examples of natural sentences you might see in messages or hear in daily conversations. "I accidentally closed the tab." "The download is taking too long." "My password doesn't work anymore." "I forgot to save the file." "The website is down right now." Each sentence is short, clear, and ready for real life. You do not need to change much to use them in different situations. This is the main idea you should remember. Native English is not about using big words or long explanations. It's about clear ideas, natural reactions, and simple actions. Native speakers think first about what happened, how they feel, and what they will do next. The language comes after that. When you practice English this way, you stop translating in your head. You start reacting naturally. Over time, this becomes automatic. Your English feels easier, faster, and more confident. This is how English moves from something you study to something you actually use every day, just like a native speaker. All of these sentences are short, complete, and easy to use. Examples like "the notification disappeared" or "I need to clear the cache" are simple, but they work perfectly in real life. Memorizing these sentences and practicing them in everyday situations will help your English start to feel natural, just like a native speaker. Let us return to story mode for more practice.
Last night, I tried a new streaming service. At first, the video played perfectly, but after 10 minutes, it started buffering. I immediately said, "This is ridiculous." I tried refreshing the video, but nothing worked. Then I said, "I guess I'll switch to another app." Just as I was about to leave, the video started playing again. I said, "Finally, smooth streaming." Each sentence in this story is short, natural, and shows a clear reaction. It also tells the story in a simple way that is easy to follow. Another important tip is to notice how native speakers reduce sentences to make them faster. For example, instead of saying, "I am not able to log into my account at this moment," they simply say, "I can't log in right now." Or instead of, "I was not able to send the message because the app crashed," they say, "I couldn't send the message. The app crashed." Short, complete sentences like these are easier to think in, and they sound much more natural in conversation. Now, let us look at combining multiple ideas in one sentence naturally. Instead of saying, "My Wi-Fi stopped working, and I could not continue my work, and I was very frustrated," a native speaker might say, "My Wi-Fi stopped again, so I couldn't finish my work, and it was really frustrating." Using connectors like "so" or "and" makes the story flow naturally without adding unnecessary words. Small adjustments like this make your English sound much smoother. You can also use everyday expressions for common technology problems. For example, instead of "this problem occurs frequently," you can say "it keeps happening." Instead of "I am extremely frustrated with this situation," you can say "I'm done with this." Instead of "this is very inconvenient and difficult," you can say "this is a nightmare." These short, natural phrases make your English feel alive and human, not like a textbook.
Thinking like a native also means noticing patterns in questions. Instead of saying, "Can you explain to me why this app does not work properly?" a native speaker might simply say, "Can you tell me why this app isn't working?" The sentence is shorter, easier to say, and sounds more natural. The focus is on getting the information quickly and clearly, not on using all the words perfectly. When you practice this way, using short sentences, natural reactions, everyday expressions, and simple connectors, your English starts to flow like a native speaker's. You stop over-explaining, you react naturally, and your stories and conversations become clear, smooth, and confident. This is the key to thinking and speaking like a native. A native speaker often asks questions in a short and simple way. Instead of saying, "Do you know why this app is not working?" they might just ask, "Why isn't this app working?" Instead of, "Is it possible for me to log in now?" a native speaker would say, "Can I log in now?" These short, direct questions are faster to say, easier to understand, and sound natural in conversation. Now let us continue the story. After struggling with the streaming app, I opened my favorite productivity app. At first, everything worked fine. Then a notification appeared. The app needed to restart. I immediately said, "Seriously, again?" I clicked restart and the app closed. When it reopened, I said, "Finally, I'm back." Each sentence is short, complete, and shows my immediate reaction. This is the essence of native thinking. Expressing what happens first, then your feeling naturally follows. Native speakers also use short sentences to show emotions indirectly. Instead of saying, "I am very happy that my app is finally working," they say, "At least it is working now." Instead of, "I am very frustrated that my internet keeps disconnecting," they say, "Not again, the Wi-Fi went out." Small changes like this make your sentences feel alive and human. When giving advice, natives prefer simple suggestions. Instead of saying, "It is necessary for you to restart the app in order to solve the issue," they say, "Try restarting the app." Instead of saying, "You should update your software immediately to avoid problems," they say, "Update the software to avoid issues." Short, direct sentences work best in conversation. Here are more examples of natural sentences you can use right away. I accidentally pressed the wrong button. The app logged me out again. My computer is running slow. I need to delete some files. The download is stuck.
The battery died quickly. All of these sentences are short, clear, and ready for real-life conversations. Practicing these sentences regularly will help your English start to sound natural and effortless. Now let us continue the story. While I was working on my laptop, I received a message from a friend asking for a file. I quickly sent it, but my email froze. I immediately said, "Of course this had to happen now." Each sentence shows my reaction first, then the situation, and this is exactly how natives think and speak. Short sentences, real reactions, and simple explanations make your English sound alive and real. By using these techniques, short sentences, natural reactions, simple advice, and indirect expressions of feelings, you can start thinking like a native speaker. You no longer have to translate word by word. You can react naturally, describe problems clearly, and make your English flow smoothly. Over time, this approach will make your English faster, easier, and much more confident, just like a native speaker's. After a minute, the email finally sent successfully. I said, "Finally, it went through." This small story uses short sentences, immediate reactions, and technology phrases naturally, just like a native speaker would. Native English often uses simple words in creative and human ways. For example, instead of saying, "The software is functioning properly," natives say, "The software works fine." Instead of saying, "I encountered a problem with my device," they say, "My device gave me a problem." Using simple words, a natural tone, and direct meaning makes your English sound alive and real. When describing repeated problems, natives often combine verbs with words like keep, go, or act. For example, "My app keeps crashing," "The Wi-Fi keeps cutting out," or "The printer keeps jamming." These patterns are very important. They help your English feel conversational and let you start thinking like a native speaker. Now let us continue the story. After finishing work, I wanted to watch a video. I opened the app, but it froze immediately. I said, "Seriously, now?" I closed it and tried again. This time, it worked. I said, "Finally, no issues." Short, emotional, and clear sentences like these create a natural flow in storytelling. You show what happened, how you felt, and the outcome all in a few words. Another useful tip is to notice how natives reduce extra words. Instead of saying, "I was not able to complete the task because my laptop froze unexpectedly," a native speaker says, "My laptop froze, so I couldn't finish." Instead of, "I experienced difficulties with the application multiple times," they say, "The app kept giving me problems." These small reductions make speech faster and easier to follow, and they sound natural in conversation. You can also practice connecting events and reactions in a smooth way. Instead of saying, "My phone died and then my Wi-Fi went out and I was frustrated," you can say, "My phone died and then the Wi-Fi went out, which was really frustrating." Small connectors like "and then" or "which" help your story flow naturally. The events, feelings, and outcomes are all clear without extra words. Now let us look at expressing opinions in daily text situations. Instead of saying, "In my opinion, this feature is unnecessary," a native speaker might say, "I feel like this feature isn't needed." Instead of saying, "I think this update is very good," they say, "This update really helps." Short, simple words and a human tone make your English sound natural, friendly, and easy to understand. By practicing short sentences, natural reactions, simple connectors, and everyday expressions, you can start thinking like a native speaker. You react naturally, describe problems clearly, and tell stories smoothly. Over time, this approach will make your English faster, easier, and much more confident, just like a native speaker's. In this update, instead of saying, "In my opinion, this update is useful," natives simply say, "I think this update is useful." Instead of saying, "It seems that this app is not good," they say, "This app does not seem very good." Using simple verbs like think, feel, seem, or look makes sentences sound natural, clear, and easy to use in conversation. When telling stories, natives often use short, connected sentences with reactions.
For example, I opened the app, it froze immediately. I said, "Not again." I restarted it, and finally it worked. Each sentence is short, emotional, and easy to follow. This is exactly how native speakers think. They focus on events, feelings, and actions in order, not grammar rules. Another key part is giving instructions naturally. Instead of saying, "You should press this button in order to continue," natives say, "Press this button to continue." Instead of, "In order to fix the problem, you must restart the app," they say, "Restart the app to fix the problem." Short, direct sentences are easier to say, easier to think, and sound more natural. Let us continue the story. After finishing work and video calls, I wanted to check my phone. I tried opening an important message, but the app froze. I said, "Seriously, now?" I closed it and reopened it. This time it worked. I said, "Finally, I can read it." Short, emotional, and natural sentences like these tell the story clearly and keep it alive. Native speakers often describe emotions indirectly through events. Instead of saying, "I am frustrated because my laptop froze," they say, "My laptop froze again, which is frustrating." Instead of saying, "I am happy that the app works," they say, "At least the app works now." This small change makes your English feel natural, human, and conversational. Here are more natural sentences you can practice every day. I accidentally deleted the wrong file. The app keeps logging me out. My battery drained too fast. The link is not opening. I need to update my software. The screen is frozen. Short, clear sentences like these are ready for real-life conversations and can be used in many situations without thinking too much. Let us continue the story. I tried to download a new app, but the download was slow. I said, "Great, now this too?" I waited a few minutes and tried again. Finally, it finished. I said, "At least it's done." Each sentence is short, shows my reaction, and describes what happened next. This is native thinking in action. Event first, reaction second. Simple words, short sentences, and natural flow. Using these patterns, simple verbs, short sentences, natural reactions, indirect emotions, and clear connectors will make your English sound like a native speaker. Over time, you stop translating in your head. You react naturally, and your sentences flow smoothly in real conversations. Short, clear, human sentences are the secret to speaking confident, natural English. The download was very slow. I said, "This is taking forever." I paused, tried again, and it finally finished. I said, "Finally, it worked." Each sentence is short, complete, and natural. It shows frustration, action, and relief, just like a native speaker would express. Instead of saying, "My computer is slow," natives often say, "My's lagging." Instead of, "The app is not working properly," they say, "The app keeps crashing." Using simple verbs like lag, crash, freeze, act up makes sentences dynamic, natural, and human. They also show the speaker's feelings about the situation. Natives use this approach to make technology feel alive, not just to describe facts. Imagine another situation. You're working on a report and suddenly your software closes. A native speaker might immediately say, "Not again, I just saved that." This sentence is short, emotional, and complete. It expresses frustration, gives context, and describes the action in one go. You don't need to explain every detail. The listener can understand from your words and tone. Natives also use small, simple words to describe big problems. Instead of saying, "I encountered a critical failure in the application that prevented me from finishing my task," they say, "The app crashed and I could not finish my work." Simple, direct sentences are easier to follow and sound natural. You can practice summarizing events in 2 or 3 short sentences instead of trying to describe everything at once. Another important point is timing and order in sentences. Natives often put the main action first, then the result.
For example, my Wi-Fi went out so I couldn't join the meeting, instead of I couldn't join the meeting because my Wi-Fi went out. The first sentence feels faster, smoother, and more conversational. Natural English often prioritizes action over long explanations. Here are more short, natural sentences used in daily text situations. I need to charge my battery. The app is acting weird today. I accidentally deleted the message. My screen keeps freezing. The update did not install. Each sentence is short, clear, and ready for real-life use. They can be combined with reactions to tell a story naturally. For example, imagine writing a document while the Wi-Fi suddenly stops. You might say, "Not again, my Wi-Fi went out. Then I need to restart the router." Each sentence shows your immediate reaction and the action you take. Short sentences like this keep your story moving and show your thoughts and feelings clearly. Using these patterns, short sentences, simple verbs, natural reactions, action first order, and small connectors will make your English sound like a native speaker. Over time, this way of speaking becomes automatic, faster, and confident. Your English will feel alive, human, and ready for any conversation. The download was very slow. I said, "This is taking forever." I paused, tried again, and it finally finished. I said, "Finally, it worked." Each sentence is short, complete, and natural. It shows frustration, action, and relief, just like a native speaker would express. Instead of saying,
Another important point is timing and order in sentences. Natives often put the main action first, then the result. For example, my wife went out, so I could not join the meeting. Instead of saying, I could not join the meeting because my Wi-Fi went out. The first sentence feels faster, smoother, and more conversational. Natural English often prioritizes action over long explanations. Here are more short, natural sentences used in daily text situations. I need to charge my battery. The app is acting weird today. I accidentally deleted the message. My screen keeps freezing. The update did not install. Each sentence is short, clear, and ready for real-life use. They can be combined with reactions to tell a story naturally. For example, imagine writing a document while the Wi-Fi suddenly stops. You might say, "Not again, my Wi-Fi went out. Then I need to restart the router." Each sentence shows your immediate reaction and the action you take. Short sentences like this keep your story moving and show your thoughts and feelings clearly. Using these patterns, short sentences, simple verbs, natural reactions, action first order, and small connectors will make your English sound like a native speaker's. You can react naturally, describe events clearly, and tell stories smoothly, without overthinking grammar. Over time, this way of speaking becomes automatic, faster, and confident. Your English will feel alive, human, and ready for any conversation. Now, each sentence expresses emotion, action, and result naturally. Natives often structure sentences in this order to make communication smooth and immediate. This order, what happened first, what you felt, and what the result was, keeps English fast, clear, and easy to understand. Let us practice giving instructions naturally. Instead of saying, "In order to fix the problem, it is necessary to restart your device," a native speaker says, "Restart your device to fix the problem." Instead of saying, "You need to press this button to proceed with the application," they say, "Press this button to continue." Short, direct instructions are easier to follow and sound natural in everyday conversation. Another important aspect of native English is using verbs creatively. Instead of saying, "The computer is malfunctioning," natives say, "The computer is acting up." Instead of saying, "The application is not working properly," they say, "The app is misbehaving." Verbs like act up, misbehave, freeze, lag, and crash are very common in technology conversations. Using them correctly makes your English feel alive and human rather than stiff or formal. Let us continue the story. While working late, I received a notification that my software needed to update. I thought, "Not now, I'm busy." I postponed it, but a few hours later, the update started automatically.
I said, "Great," just when I needed it the least. I waited for it to finish, and then said, "Finally, everything is up to date." Each sentence is short, emotional, and follows native thinking patterns. The event first, my reaction second, and the result last. Native speakers often summarize problems in short, simple sentences. Instead of saying the device encountered multiple errors and stopped functioning correctly, they say the device keeps giving me problems. Instead of saying the internet connection has been very unstable for several hours, they say the Wi-Fi keeps cutting out. Simple, clear sentences like these are easier to say, understand, and remember. Let us practice describing repeated issues. A native speaker would say, "The app keeps crashing, the Wi-Fi keeps disconnecting, the printer keeps jamming, the battery keeps dying." These patterns are very common in everyday speech. They describe repeated problems quickly and naturally, without unnecessary words. Using keeps plus a verb is one of the fastest ways to sound conversational in English. By practicing short sentences, clear reactions, action first order, simple verbs, and patterns for repeated events, your English will start to feel natural. You'll stop translating in your head and begin thinking in English. You will react immediately, describe events clearly, and tell stories smoothly. Over time, your sentences will flow effortlessly. Your conversations will feel real, and your English will sound alive, human, and confident, just like a native speaker. The screen keeps freezing, the app keeps crashing, the battery keeps dying. These patterns are very common in real-life conversations. You can use keeps plus a verb to describe ongoing problems naturally. This pattern is short, clear, and easy to remember. Think about combining short sentences with reactions and stories. For example, I was finishing a report. The app froze. I said, "Not again." I restarted it, and finally it worked. Each sentence shows the action, my reaction, and the result, naturally. This is exactly how native speakers think and speak in real-life situations. They focus on events first, feelings second, and results last. When giving advice or suggestions, natives also use short sentences. Instead of saying, "It is recommended to restart your device to fix the issue," they say, "Restart your device." Instead of saying, "You should update the app to prevent problems," they say, "Update the app to avoid issues." Simple, direct, and clear sentences are much easier to say and understand in daily conversations. Let us continue the story. After finishing work, I wanted to watch a video online. The video would not play. I said, "Seriously, why now?" I refreshed the page and it started playing. I said, "Finally, smooth streaming." Each sentence shows emotion, action, and result in a natural, native-like way. Short sentences, immediate reactions, and clear outcomes make the story easy to follow. Native speakers also use small words to emphasize feelings. Instead of saying, "I'm very frustrated," they say, "This is so frustrating." Instead of saying, "I'm very happy that it works," they say, "This is great." Words like so, really, just, finally make sentences sound alive, human, and natural. When describing problems, natives often focus on the immediate effect. Instead of saying, "The printer is not functioning properly and it prevents me from printing my documents," they say, "The printer is not working, so I cannot print." Short sentences, clear cause and effect, and natural connectors like so or which make speech flow smoothly. Let us continue the story. While sending an email, my internet went down. I said, "Of course, right now." The email could not send. I waited a few seconds, then the connection returned. I said, "Finally, it went through."
Each sentence is short, emotional, and shows what happened, how I felt, and the result. This pattern of short sentences, reactions, and natural order is how natives communicate quickly and clearly. Using these strategies, short sentences, simple verbs, immediate reactions, natural connectors, and small words to show feeling helps you think like a native. You do not need to focus first on grammar rules. Instead, notice patterns, reactions, and flow. With practice, your English will feel alive and confident.
Conversations will be smoother, stories will sound natural, and your sentences will carry meaning clearly without extra words. Over time, speaking English this way will become automatic, and you will communicate in a fast, natural, and human way. I waited a minute and tried again. It worked, I said. Finally, the email sent. Each sentence is short and shows frustration, action, and relief. This is exactly how native speakers think and speak. One key tip is to reduce extra words whenever possible. Instead of saying, I was unable to log in to my account at this moment, you can say, I cannot log in right now. Instead of, I experienced difficulties with the app repeatedly, you can say, the app kept giving me problems. Short sentences are easier to say, faster to think, and simple to understand. When giving instructions or advice, natives use direct verbs. They say things like, restart the app, update your software, check the Wi-Fi, clear cache, or press the button to continue. Short, direct sentences like these are natural, easy to remember, and exactly what you hear in real conversations. Let us continue the story. While trying to join a webinar, my laptop froze. I said, not again. This is so annoying. I restarted the browser and finally joined the call. I said, finally, I'm in. Each sentence is short, complete, and shows my reaction and action. This is the style that makes English sound natural and fluent. Native speakers also describe devices and apps creatively. Instead of saying, the device is malfunctioning, they say, the device is acting up. Instead of saying, the application is not working, they say, the app is misbehaving. Verbs like act up, misbehave, crash, freeze, lag are simple but powerful. They make your speech lively and human. Continuing the story, while finishing work, my laptop needed an update. I postponed it, but later it started automatically. I said, great, just when I needed it the least. I waited a few minutes and then said, finally, everything is updated. Short, emotional, complete sentences like these reflect native thinking patterns. Native thinking also involves using natural connectors to link ideas smoothly. Instead of saying, I could not send the email because my internet went down and I was frustrated, a native speaker says, my internet went down so I couldn't send the email, which was frustrating. Using connectors like so and which makes your speech flow naturally and clearly. Another key point is showing emotion indirectly. Instead of saying, I am very frustrated, you can say, this is so frustrating. Instead of, I am very happy that the app works, you can say, at least the app works now. These small changes make English sound alive, natural, and human. Finally, notice the order of sentences. Natives often put the main action first, then the result, then the feeling. For example, the app froze. I couldn't finish my report. This was really annoying. Action first, context second, feeling last. This order helps your sentences sound clear and natural. By practicing short, complete sentences, direct verbs, creative descriptions, natural connectors, and small emotional words, you can think like a native speaker. Your English will sound smooth, confident, and ready for real conversations. Stories, reactions, and actions together make your speech easy to follow, expressive, and human. Let us practice short, natural sentences you can use daily. The app keeps logging me out. My battery is draining fast. The download is stuck. The link is not opening. I accidentally deleted the file. The screen keeps freezing. Each sentence is short, complete, and ready for real-life situations. Now, imagine telling a story using natural sentences. Yesterday, I was trying a new app. It worked at first, but then it froze. I said, not again. I restarted it and it worked. I said, finally back on track. Each sentence is emotional, complete, and natural. This is exactly how native speakers structure their speech. When describing events, natives often use simple adjectives. Instead of saying, the update is significantly better, they say, the update is much better. Instead of saying, the app is extremely slow, they say, the app is really slow. Short, clear adjectives make your speech faster and easier to think in. Continuing the story, I wanted to stream a video, but it wouldn't play. I said, seriously, now? I refreshed a page and it worked. I said, finally, smooth streaming. Short sentences, clear reactions, and immediate results make your English natural and fluent. Native speakers also reduce unnecessary words and instructions. Instead of saying, you must press this button in order to proceed with the application, they say, press this button to continue. Instead of, in order to fix the problem, you must restart the app, they say, restart the app to fix the problem. Short and direct instructions are easier to speak and understand. When narrating tech stories, natives use small connected sentences. I opened the app, it froze immediately. I said, not again. I restarted it, and finally, it worked. Each sentence expresses action, reaction, and result naturally. This is how you can structure your English to think like a native speaker. Let us continue with more tech phrases. My headphones stopped working again. The app froze in the middle of a meeting. I accidentally deleted a file. I need to log in again. The battery is draining too fast. Each sentence is short, complete, and easy to use in multiple situations. By practicing short sentences, clear reactions, simple adjectives, and direct instructions, your English becomes fluent, natural, and ready for real conversations. Using this method, you can describe events, problems, and solutions just like a native speaker, without over-explaining or adding unnecessary words.
The app stopped working again. It froze during a meeting. I accidentally deleted the wrong file. I need to log in again. The battery died quickly. Short, complete, and natural sentences like these can be used in many situations. Another tip is expressing feelings indirectly. Instead of saying, I am frustrated because my laptop froze, natives say, my laptop froze again, which is frustrating. Instead of saying, I am happy the app works, they say, at least the app works now. Short, natural sentences make your English feel alive. Let us continue the story. While working on a project, my internet went out. I said, of course, right now. I waited a minute and tried again. It worked. I said, finally, the internet is back. Each sentence expresses frustration, action, and relief naturally, reflecting native thinking patterns. When talking about repeated problems, natives often use keep plus verb. The app keeps crashing. The Wi-Fi keeps disconnecting. The printer keeps jamming. The battery keeps dying quickly. The screen keeps freezing. These patterns are common and very useful in daily conversations. Now let us focus on combining reactions and tech phrases in stories. I was finishing a report. The app froze. I said, not again. I restarted it, and finally it worked. Short, emotional, complete sentences show action, reaction, and result naturally. This is how natives think in real-life situations. Native speakers also use simple words creatively. Instead of saying, the software is functioning properly, they say, the software works fine. Instead of saying, I encountered a problem with my device, they say, my device gave me a problem. Short words, human tone, and direct meaning make your English sound natural. Let us continue the story. I tried downloading a new app, but it was very slow. I said, this is taking forever. I tried again, and it finally downloaded. I said, finally, it worked. Each sentence is short, clear, and natural, showing frustration, action, and relief, just like a native speaker would say. Short, emotional, and complete sentences make your speech sound alive and natural. When talking about tech issues, natives often focus on immediate effects.
Instead of saying, "The printer is not functioning properly and it prevents me from printing my documents," they say, "The printer is not working, so I cannot print." Short sentences, clear cause and effect, and natural connectors make speech flow better. Native thinking also involves reactions first, then solutions. Instead of saying, "My app froze and I had to restart it, which was frustrating," a native says, "The app froze. I restarted it. Finally, it worked." Short sentences show problem, action, and result naturally. Let us continue the story. "I wanted to send an urgent email, but my internet went down. I said, 'Of course.' I waited a minute and tried again. It worked. I said, 'Finally, the email sent.'" Short, emotional, complete sentences reflect native thinking and speech patterns. Another tip is reducing extra words. Instead of saying, "I was unable to log into my account at this moment," say, "I cannot log in right now." Instead of saying, "I experienced difficulties with the app repeatedly," say, "The app kept giving me problems." Shorter sentences are easier to speak and understand. When giving instructions, natives use direct verbs. Restart the app, update your software, check the Wi-Fi, clear your cache, press the button to continue. Short, clear instructions are natural and easy to use in daily life. Let us continue the story. "While joining a webinar, my laptop froze. I said, 'Not again, this is so annoying.' I restarted the browser and joined the call. I said, 'Finally, I'm in.'" Short, complete sentences with reactions and action make your speech natural and fluent. Native speakers also describe devices and apps creatively. Instead of saying, "The device is malfunctioning," they say, "The device is acting up." Thank you so much for joining today's lesson here at Mr. English Lab. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling me what you want to learn next. Your support helps the channel grow and helps me create more lessons for you. Take care, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next class.